his ass.
You guys, this is all Kyle's mom's fault. Shut up, Cartman. Kyle's mom is the one that started that damn club, and all because she's a big, fat, stupid bitch. Don't say it, Cartman. Well, don't do it, Cartman. Well, I'm warning you. Okay.
Hello, peasants.
Want to kill all humans?
Work there, dude.
We'd like some money. Yeah, money. Money is cool. We got whores in the city. We need backup now. Don't be so dang literal.
Well, you've got one heck of a nerve.
Oh my God, the government is here. Run.
Hey, barkeep, whose leg do you have to hump to get a dry martini around here?
Ich bin ein Springfielder.
Shut the hell up. I've got the strangest feeling someone's gonna kick his ass.
Here at Totally Toonular. I apologize for the lack of an episode last week. I really don't know what happened. We recorded a thing and then I guess it just didn't go up. I think we were hijacked. It's a very sad situation, but we at the Fantasy Shed do strive for excellence, and as such, this week with us we have the host of Slasher Sports Cinema sitting in. And that is the one and only Mr. Billy Graves. Billy, how are you, sir?
Sir, you said one and only. And if there is another, push it over because it is cardboard. Yes, I am Billy Graves, and I'm very taking another step forward until I congratulate you for a job very well done with the sneak peek in Gallatin, Tennessee for Curse of the Were-Deer. Had a hell of a time that night and got to see some familiar faces that I had only ever met via intranet, and that was a treat in itself. So it was a ticket well purchased. What else can I say, man? It was a great night. I'm so happy for you and your cat.
Well, thank you. And I have I still have your shirt. I had it bundled up at the merch table with your name on it, and it's still sitting in the box here. So I'll have to find you at some point and get that to you. But it is sitting right there. It is sitting right there.
We are par for the course.
And thank you also for, really trying to wrangle a bunch of cats at the end of that for some sort of question and answer session. That's
what it was. It was a cat wrangling. And like every now and then the asshole director decides to take the mic and he just won't shut up.
Be quiet. I don't know what got into that guy. I think well, I do, but
I've got an idea what got into him and into his digestive system. No, we don't have to. We don't have to.
It was a good time, right? Like at the end of the day, it was a decent show. Like it was fun. People seemed to enjoy it, right?
All in all, for me specifically, because you'd given me the honor of screening a few different cuts, and first of all, I'm always humbled when anyone will allow me to see their art compared to any public release. For opinions, just for the enjoyment of my sad and loathsome existence. But listen, every iteration of the film that I was able to screen, I had a lot of fun with it. I took a lot from it. And Benjamin, let me tell you, right now, it is an honor to have known you for all this time and to know that you, sir, have created something that is now part of the Tromaville universe. Okay, not only do you have those, those pesky, pollutant-ridden folks up in Tromaville, you've now got the deer-infested, kitty-loving, sexing, drinking individuals. God damn it, I'm glad to be part of it.
It's a lot. That bachelor party is a lot. I'll just say that.
Man, that scene alone. Okay, I may have. I'm going to repeat myself a lot. Different stories that have been told over the past months of talking about this film, but indie films, due to the low budget, you got to pick your spots, right? You pick your spots. You gotta tell a good story, because that's what it's all about. You tell a good, and your film is memorable. People forgive things. The great Joe Gibbs, Washington Commanders head coach, once said, if you make a good entrance, you make a good exit, they'll forgive you for what's in the middle. And that's not always the case with film, but sometimes it is. And you can always pick out a scene from any cult classic indie film that just, that was worth its weight in taco shells. And you look at Billy Jack when he says, I'm going to put this foot that side of your face, and there's nothing you can do about it. You always think about the Warriors. You're the guy clinging the bottles together. Warriors. You just know that. With Sleepaway Camp, the scene at the end where the little girl stands up and she reveals that she has, a little helper hanging there with her, and you just know, damn, I remember Sleepaway Camp, because I can't forget the face that Felissa Rose is making, right?
Right. Well, that's not the thing you can't forget, but no, she makes a very good face, but it's that slow zoom.
That capture, yeah. With that capture though, with the mouth wide open, that's iconic. Well, I told people, I said, listen, if me being selfish, if you take anything away from Curse of the Weird Deer, I want you to take the camping scene, the bachelor party, and I want you to remember it forever, because that is the thing that got burnt into my mind as I was watching this. And I know a lot of people have not seen this film, so I'm not going to give away anything. But let's just say, there's a few guys in a circle.
Yeah.
And during the attack, they're screaming. They realize what's in their hand doesn't belong to them.
And
so they pass it to the rightful owner, and then they continue screaming. And we're talking about the aforementioned Adam Freeman in that scene.
Yes.
And there was Steve McGill, and who was the third individual in that scene?
Sean Leonard,
handsome devil. I met him as well.
He had no idea when he showed up that we were going to be putting him in the movie, like none at all. Let alone that he would be involved.
Yeah. See, that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of having the people that you have with you in this film, because I'd bet my bottom dollar you go, and they are, as the old proverb says, down for anything.
And we take them to task is the other part of it. We absolutely take them to task. You don't put yourself out there like that and then not expect someone to be like, well, anything really does mean sort of anything here. Are you sure? I said that to a lot of people. Are you sure? Are you sure? And we got a very good sort of response from everyone. And there were only a couple of people who were like, "Well, I don't know if that's for me," and we did get some of that. We got a little bit of that, but everybody else seems to kind of be down. And I don't want to. What is it? I don't want to shame anybody that's not, up for what we were asking for. It is a lot. It is a lot. But the simple fact,
It was a big ask.
yeah. You wanna come hang out on the next one, Billy? Camp Noodaway 2024, huh? Camp Noodaway.
Well, well, if however I answer, I mean, I know you're gonna say, "Are you sure?"
Damned if you do.
No, where's that going down?
I have no idea where we're shooting yet. Right now, we're looking at script stuff. We have to do a pretty massive rewrite, but then we're building. Our hope is to have a decent draft by around the beginning of December, and then really in February start pushing it out there. Have a deck ready to go. Because we're going to approach people for money this time, and we also don't know where we start with that. So the next few months are going to be very, very big. Very, very big.
Understood.
Yeah. But it's like akin to the old Doris Wishman movies, the old Herschel Gordon Lewis movies, the old Russ Meyer films. A little bit of all of that stuff kind of married and tweaked in the way only Shithouse can tweak it. Yeah.
You said it, Daddy. Shithouse Productions. Well, listen, when I heard about Weird Year for the first time, and I said, well, okay, is there a trailer out there? I guess I need to find a trailer. Let me see who's involved in this, because first of all, I didn't know that you specifically were involved.
Right.
Okay, I only knew some Westmoreland guys, if you will, were involved. And the first thing that I guess I noticed was Justin Calvert in the trailer, and I think it was a shot that didn't make the film. I think it was a different. I think like maybe a hoof scrape across the cheek, and he goes. Ooh! So I think that was only in the trailer.
So that was in our original teaser. Yeah, and again, like we've gone over this. I'm sure when you and I sat down, it was only ever supposed to be the thing that we originally shot. It wasn't ever supposed to be this feature. So we were able to reuse basically one scene for the tent massacre because those guys hadn't changed that much, So we were able to go back to their scene, and that's Reeves and Fletcher. Our beautiful penises that hit both of them because they hadn't changed that much, and we had the footage, and it would have taken up too much time to reshoot it. But Calvert's whole thing, now that he had a baby and all of this stuff, it was like, well, how do we put Papa near a baby, and how do we make it as harrowing as possible? We kill them both in a laundromat.
Yeah.
As you do.
Man, and what a place to do it. Well, yeah, what a place to do it. And, it was a great, well, shit, I don't even want to go through too many of the details because if I could, point out so many things in this film, I would never run out of things to talk about. This film, I love this film so much. I'm not blowing smoke up your ass.
No,
right
it's
now.
a decent movie,
love this
right? Like
film.
It's not a bad movie. I think we made a very good film. The more I watch it, and I've sat through it a number of times. The more I watch it, now I can kind of sit back and like nitpick a little bit, like some of the stuff. But even then, I had some friends over last night that couldn't make it to the Gallatin show, won't be able to make it. So if you're listening today, 9/2, September 2nd, and you are in Manhattan, and you are not at the Beauty Bar right now, getting ready to see Curse of the Werewolf, you are wasting your life. That's for the people who are going to listen on Saturday. But right now, as we record, we're gearing up for Trauma Dance. And anyway, my friends couldn't come to this screening. They're certainly not going to be able to make it to New York. Came over to the house, put it on last night. And again, I find myself watching it. Every time Jen and I would sit down to quality check a disc, you'd be doing other stuff. Is the picture still good? Is the sound still good? Yeah. It's all great. It's fine. and you think you're going to put it sort of on in the background and just check in randomly. Each time we QC'd a new disc, it was just like, holy crap, ooh, here we are watching this thing again, watching it again. And I guess that's sort of a testament to what the team did. And I always push team. People are, and I guess it was a hometown crowd. And a lot of people say a lot of nice things to me, and I definitely played my part in it. But I think it's more of a testament to the entire team as opposed to like individual, because at the end of the day, I like watching my friends do funny stuff. And I still think the stuff they done was funny.
Yeah, and I don't know how long ago it was, maybe a couple of years, when I first caught wind of this, and I took what was basically a sports only website and decided to just integrate the slasher part of it. Sort of. This is not a slasher film, but I mean it is an ode to my love of horror film, and I was already doing a podcast with some other friends that was really independent of slasher sports, and I said, no, let's make this part of it. We're gonna have a sports and entertainment website. We've got baseball covered, which I still love baseball, but we've got baseball covered with my good friend Christian Rao, and I'm gonna run with this. I'm just gonna see what I can write up. Man, I snatched so many graphics from your Indiegogo or your what was it, Kickstarter?
Indiegogo is right. Yeah, that's where we went. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I just started digging up. I said, who is that? Who's that girl? Who's the girl with a shotgun? Who's the guy beside her? Who's this schmuck in the front of the movie whose head is he holding right now? It turns out to be Ben Schatzel, and Ben is like an absolute sweetheart. He's a fucking great friend now. Listen, this film, if you could make one of those like web charts of basically everybody that I know, all the little legs of the chart go right back to that nucleus, and that nucleus is Curse of the Were-Deer. And I sincerely have you to thank for that.
Well, you're welcome. You're welcome. And then also, like, look out, because it's going to get weirder. Like, that's the thing. Just look out. Just wait until you invite these people further and deeper into your life. Trust me. And I mean that in the best way. I really do. But I think that's the crux of like anything major that you do, is that like how do you really put it together? If you're working on something that you care about, that you genuinely care about, that'll ultimately resonate through to the people that are working with you, right? Like all of a sudden they're like, oh, yes. It takes one guy to care to help make somebody else care. And this is all very like corporate bullshit, but at the same time, you know how you always got that one guy who's like, it's just a job, man. We ain't no damn family. This is just my job. I clock in, I go the fuck home. You always got that one guy, right? And 9 times out of 10, I'm that guy at any like day job. I'm going home. I'll see you guys later. No, I don't want to go out to bacon tater bombs at the whatever. I don't want to do that. I want to go home. I don't spend enough time at home. So, but if it's a thing you actually care about, if it's a thing you really sort of put yourself into, you'll find that another person genuinely cares, and then they're going to bring in somebody who genuinely cares, and eventually you're going to surround yourself with people that give a shit, right? That actually give a shit, and that's what we had, was a group of people. It's what we still have. I get messages daily. When's the next one? Where are we shooting? What do you need me to do? All of that stuff. And like I told you before, we have things that we're getting ready to do, but we're not that far ahead. However, people are ready. People are ready. They're there. And that's fucking. You can't ask for anything better. You really can't. Not out of a friend, not out of a family member, not out of a stranger on the street. You can't ask for anything more. It's tremendous.
And more importantly, the fact that you never seem to ask anybody to do anything that you wouldn't do yourself.
No, yeah, I had to pretend to suck Jimmy's dick in that one scene, or Terry's dick in that one scene, because Jimmy wasn't there. So they were like, "Well, who's going to stand in?" And I'm like, "I will stand in." So if they're going to be standing around in their underpants, you get down to your underpants, you throw on a wig, you pretend to suck your '80s dick, and then you get the job done. You move forward. It's fine.
Who among us, right? Who among us has not pretended to suck somebody's dick to get ahead?
Right. You got to give a little head to get a little head. But
so they say.
Listen, that's how I learned. So I'm old Hollywood, though. I don't know. I take that back. You can't say that anymore. That's terrible. James will never let this fly.
Speaking of cast, of course not. Speaking of James, speaking of Jim Boylan, So this podcast, generally yourself, Jim Boylan, Nicole Matarese, and I believe last week I heard someone named Leo.
Yeah, Leandro.
Un brasileiro.
See? Yes, right? Yes.
Okay. O que tá fazendo, Leo?
I don't know about that.
Where is he?
I mean, I wasn't here last week. We recorded something early, and then apparently the show got taken over. And I really don't know what sort of happened. I don't know where our episode went. It seems like Papa John lost it. But I had a wonderful guest last week, gone. Leo actually left the show a few months ago. Like he's seeking out bigger, broader, and better things, right? Seeking out bigger, broader, better things. James is on set. He's been working on a movie for a company called Bad Taste Video. I don't know if did you ever talk to a kid named Rocco? About
Rocco, so I've never spoken to Rocco, but I know of Rocco, and I believe I know of him through Lucky Saru.
Yes, you do. Okay. Yep.
Do I? Okay. Then I have not lied then, because when I spoke to Lucky about, I think it might have been about some of his short films. And
Uncle Sleezo's and
Uncle Sleezo. Yeah. There you go. That's exactly what it was.
Right.
Yeah, I had gone back and watched some of his previous work before Uncle Sleezo, and so I know Rocco through Lucky, and that's about the extent of it. Though I have not had any extensive conversations with Rocco, but from what Lucky says, Rocco's the real deal.
He is. You should see his first feature, I Need You Dead. It's a very good movie. A very, very good movie. He's working on a sophomore effort up in upstate called Flapjacks, and James is doing production sound for that. So he's been gone all month. Nicole is out taking care of business, like living her life. She's going through a period of transition at this point, so she took a little bit of a step back from the show, and they all just left me here because they know I have nothing better to do with my life.
Well, Nicole, excuse me, on the fly, just because she was out on a walk in the park, dropped a nice little 20-minute, basically, external thoughts on Black Swan, which is one of her favorite films. Just give that a listen if you can dig it up. I listened either this morning or yesterday morning. Listen, the week's been crazy. I don't know if it was this morning or yesterday morning, but I listened to it. And it was an outstanding. It made me want to go back and watch Black Swan because it wasn't one that I cared about that much when it was new. It doesn't speak to me. It spoke to Nicole as some. As a woman, very clearly, and it's just not speaking my language, but that doesn't mean I can't enjoy it, right?
No, I mean I also gave very much a listen as well. Yeah, in talking about just sort of life experience, the things that it sort of helped her do overall is it's very interesting, especially from the notion of what that movie really becomes, because it's like, to me, my perspective is it's like Showgirls for ballerinas, but a little darker. But
We didn't get the pool scene though.
No,
I
no, no,
wanted
no,
the
yeah.
pool, the swimming pool scene,
Man.
flopping around like
It,
a seizing mermaid. I don't know. That's what I needed.
this is why Elizabeth Berkley, I think, and don't get me wrong, Mila Kunis, Natalie Portman, Black Swan, Darren Aron, Ofsky, wonderful film, but Showgirls is a masterpiece from start to finish. From start to finish, masterwork. A friend of mine, and we'll eventually talk. We're here to talk about a cartoon. It's called Mr. Pickles. I can already see if James it pops into the chat. He's going to be very upset that we barely even mentioned what we're talking about. But before we get to that sweet little puppy, I do have to say this: if you ever just want to get completely blackout hammered to a point to where you cannot stand, you cannot function, and you piss yourself on your own couch, throw cans of water at your best friend Reeves, telling him to get a job. If you ever want to get that hammered, just watch Showgirls and take a drink every time that Elizabeth Berkley exits a room angrily. Every time she exits the scene angrily, I promise you, we did it in college, and God, me, my buddy Beth, a couple other people, like we all woke up just basically in a pile where we were sitting. Nobody remembered the end of the movie. Nobody remembered how far they got into it. I want to say the total count is about, I think it's 22 to 26 and a half times. There's a halftime where she exits quickly, but not so angrily. Yeah.
Okay, so there's a spectrum to the anger of her exits.
Oh no, it's visible, bro. It's visible in her face, man.
Man, and then if you want to just lay down and die, do the same thing, but with Saved by the Bell. I think she was kind of the bitchy cast member. I could be wrong. I'm not trying to, paint any pictures that were not accurate, but she did come off as the bitchy one of the class.
It's really interesting when a person, and anybody, male, female, whatever, actor, actress, whatever, anybody in the arts gets sort of like pigeonholed, right?
Sure.
And like, she did a great job as Jessie Spano. I think Elizabeth Berkley did an amazing job. It's sad that people didn't see the genius in Showgirls, because again, I really do, apart from college drinking games, if you go back and you just watch it like completely, totally straight-laced, Showgirls is a good movie. It's a really good movie. If you can get past the fact and the hype that was Jessie Spano from fucking Saved by the Bell, it's an awesome story about the climb. It's an awesome story about like rags to riches, do anything to get everything. It's an awesome story.
Yeah, and she looked great in that Versace dress, didn't she?
It's Versace.
It's Versace.
Uh-huh. And everybody just fucking laughs her out of the room, bro. So good. It's so good. And when she's throwing the marbles down the stairs and shit, like oh my god.
That
so
might
great.
be the part. That might be the part of the film that I identify with the most, other than the stripping, obviously. But the part where she mispronounces the name of the designer, because like I've also felt that inadequate in my life with just different situations. Like there was a time in my life I didn't know how to, eat crab legs. I didn't know how to, properly crack open the lobster. I mean, I didn't know how to properly eat Indian food. I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I just looked around the table and tried to figure it out. And if somebody, pointed out, oh, you got to do this, Billy, in front of other people, I'm storming out of the room and you're doing a drinking game about me,
You're right. So
That's just how it is.
so that's the thing, and I guess I learned it. I guess I learned it kind of from mom, but it's there's a level of patience that you sort of have, and what I give people, what I try to give people, and I'm not, what is it we say down here? We all fall short of the glory. Like I try to give a person the benefit of the doubt if they know what it means, but not necessarily like how to pronounce it. Like the big one for me is preface. In the preface, and it's preface. It's preface. It's the way you say it. It's preface. Let me preface this with that. Let me preface it. No, you don't preface it. Put the face on before the face. I mean,
The other day,
whatever.
somebody told me that somebody was the epitome of.
Yes.
And I said, they are now. Okay.
Yeah.
And it was somebody I didn't really like, Ben. So I wanted to, but then I was like, no, Billy, get off your fucking high horse. Okay.
So the reason why I give them that benefit is because of this. What it tells me is that at the very least, they have read for context, understand the meaning, and maybe they've never heard the word in conversation.
Sure.
Maybe it's never a thing they've heard pronounced, and they've only read it. And if you look at epitome, it looks like epitome. Like that's but seriously, and that's the thing. That's the benefit of the doubt. You try to give people anyway, and then low key, you might want to correct them. Well, it is preface. Next time you say it, I'm not saying nothing, but I like to do that in private. I like to
say it in the next fucking sentence, that you repeat to them.
Bro, I've literally done that.
Yeah, he's the epitome of it too, asshole.
Yeah, but not even. Or I will like, and maybe it's a dick move, and it probably is a dick move. I try to make it not a dick thing, but you can look over and be like, yeah, it's like Joey said, he is the epitome of this, and then you give them that little taste. Without making them feel stupid, you say, oh, it's like he just said. He is absolutely the epitome of blah, 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 blah. You make sure they know they're right while knowing they're exactly fucking wrong.
And pointing out to them that they are substantially more well-read than I am, because I'm not a reader. And I know that people pull these vocabulary words out of their ass because they got it out of, some sort of literature. So good for them. I do not do such things as I should. And I'm constantly mispronouncing things like Zach Amico.
Right. Yeah. Amico.
What a piece of shit I am for the Q&A there in the phallus at the palace. And and I know you like that. And I'm trying to shout out some people. There's Ben Schatzel. We got Jasmine Hanks. And don't forget about Zach Amico.
And everybody, it's like a record scratcher.
Boo! Get him off the stage. Come on.
No, I don't think anybody was saying that except.
Of course not.
Yeah, no.
Maybe Zach.
Well, had he been there, and I don't think anybody sent him a video of it, so I think you're still in the clear, bro.
I feel good about it. He's not going to hear this, right?
I mean, maybe he was on our Toxic Crusaders episode that we did live at Trauma Dance one year, so maybe.
Gotta go back and listen.
Who knows?
I've got a whole library of this show that I have to go back and listen to.
Oh, you should. You guys are
absolutely
should.
You guys are
It's beautiful. It's a wonderful show. And speaking of the show, Billy, I think it's more than time that we actually jump into what we're here to talk about this evening. And that is a wonderful little Adult Swim cartoon about a massively evil puppy dog called Mr. Pickles. Mr. Pickles. Now, have you ever seen this cartoon?
Never in my life, Benjamin. And as a matter of fact, by the end of my viewing, I'm pretty sure I now owe the devil things that I didn't know I owed him before. Listen, the clock struck midnight. I was probably face deep in some Vienna sausages. I don't know. But I heard some mumbles going on in the background. I think I agreed to what they said. and now I owe the devil my firstborn, all because of Mr. Pickles. And luckily, my firstborn is 21 now, so
there you go. Give
he
him
can
away
do as he
all day
pleases. Yeah, you can give him away
Yeah.
all day long. So yeah, Mr.
Still
Pickles.
can't kick him off your insurance yet, though. That's what, like
No.
26 now?
Yeah, it's 26. Yeah. So the devil's going to have to foot that bill later on. But as of right now, I've got it. But Mr. Pickles, I've never seen Mr. Pickles. The animation, one of the important things to me, knowing that, I've spoken to a lot of independent actors and filmmakers now. Again, thanks to the squad at Shithouse Productions. I kind of get stingy for voiceover roles. And
Right.
I want them to cast voice actors. And I think what we have in this is kind of some a mix of such, because you do have some established people from Funny or Die, which I fucking love, and then other places. And yeah, listen, I enjoyed what I got out of the show, and I did not have very high expectations. Because why? Because I'm kind of a snob. If I don't already know about it, I don't like it from the jump. And then I hit play. I started my Hulu free trial because I didn't have it before. And I did it just for Mr. Pickles. And
That's fancy pantsy.
yeah, and I haven't even gotten through the entire series now. But I know it's going to be worth a rewatch. And I
Good.
know it. Yeah, I know by the end of this thing, Mr. Pickles is probably going to be one of those that I keep going back to binge, because I'm a repeat binger. I don't know about you. But this,
No, if I find a thing I like, yeah, I definitely go back and rewatch to a point of, man, at least once a year, I go back through and I full blown watch all of Married with Children, and that's no joke. I watch the entire series over again. But you quickly touched hello.
I believe we have Jim Boylan on the horn right now, and it's damn fine to see you, Jim. How you doing?
Great. I'm gonna fix my camera to make it easier for John Bergio.
Oh, he went to the store. Like, he'll get you up eventually, but I think he's at the store still, unless he patched you. Oh, what? Wow. Hey, James, I heard there was a problem with our episode last week, and I just want to know that everything is good. Like, this one's coming through right. We will be able to get this one up, right?
Yeah. Thankfully, there's no more completely cartoony and no more anime.
I've never even heard of that show. I don't even know what that is. I have no clue what you're talking about, but I know it was a problem.
If you're on that show, you're banned for life.
Oh, good. Thank God I had nothing to do with it.
And I pressed stop as soon as I heard the title.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
I couldn't get past the opening music.
How you doing?
So, yeah.
I had to cut it short.
And I'm just
Dude.
throwing myself into this because I have an off day. I saw you guys were live, so I threw myself into this.
As you do. So you've seen Mr. Pickles, right?
Vaguely, not like a lot of it, but yeah, I've seen it. It's a fucked up dog. So
So real quick in the chat, guys, we got Dwayne Steeler hanging out with us tonight. He says, "Hey, it's James," and then he wants to know what's rocking. James, how's things on Flapjacks?
Go good. Today's an off day. We did 2 overnights, so I've been like kind of hung over all day just because we did 2 overnights back to back. And then tomorrow we have an 8 a.m. call time, so it's fun stuff. But it's also my last day tomorrow, so finally coming back home.
To a house full of Derek too, huh?
Literally, I got no breaks from people, man. Just a house full of people, another house full of people.
Well,
Wait, which Derek?
Woody Woodrow.
Oh my goodness!
The only Derek.
What a way to live!
The king dingaling of Dingaling Pond himself.
The king dingaling. So of Dingaling Pond. That's
I like it.
Billy, you don't even. I mean, listen, man, this shit runs deep. You got a face full of Derek, like literally. You got a face full of Derek this past weekend.
Oh,
but
Derek himself.
And just now as well.
He's already there.
What?
He's in
What?
my apartment. I see him. He's there.
Oh my God! There he is. Holy shit! What is up, D? How are you?
I don't think he can hear us at all.
He can't. I'm good. Derek just got off a plane. It looks like he just got off a fucking plane too.
It looks like he just finished watching Showgirls with a drinking game.
Right. We're getting into a weekend, Billy. Like, if you thought like one night was a thing, this whole weekend beginning, I mean, I guess for Derek tonight, but beginning this weekend, Friday night starts Trauma Dance, Saturday night Where Deer plays, Sunday night we wrap up, everybody's gone, or Derek might be staying 3 or 4 days, who knows, past that. But everybody else is splitting between Sunday and Monday. It is going to be bedlam for 3 days in Manhattan. It's going to be nuts.
I love
Isn't
it.
that right, Derek?
I fucking love it.
And oh, now he's putting the headphones on. Now it's going to go completely tits up.
Up the show. Going. Sorry, Billy. We just totally, jacked your episode.
Whoa, bro! There's no such monster as a jacked episode with me. I'm here for just the face value. I'm here to be the pretty face because Ben can't do
I
that.
can't do it.
okay?
But 43 years.
But you did steal my thunder
Never
there,
been able to.
Boyle, and you did that. So yeah, I don't know, Ben. In high school you were an Adonis, but yeah, that was decades ago. Decades ago.
Like so
Ben, the job.
so fucking we're talking Mr. Pickles. Derek, you ever seen it?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. All right. We're literally getting sort of nuts and butts into this. What I wanted to get to, and thank you guys for popping in here. It's awesome to see you. Stick around, hang out. We're going to start. We were talking a little bit, the teensiest little bit about voice cast. Okay. So once again, like Adult Swim hits it hard, but there are a couple of folks in here that you really may not have noticed. One is Brooke Shields, right? Yeah.
Oh shit.
Brooke Shields is Mrs. Goodman. She's basically Tommy's mom, right?
Isn't the actor who got the voice actor who got arrested for the Capitol riots? Isn't he in the show?
Oh my God. Is that Will Carsola? I forget
his name.
which one it
From
is.
Bob.
If I'm wrong there, I apologize. But this has everybody. And Brett Gelman, if you look at him you'll know him. He's the cheese man. Fucking Steve O did a voice for this. Tom Kenny, Henry Rollins, fucking again Brooke Shields, Weird Al, Rob Zombie. I mean, you go Stephen Root, John Waters shows up in an episode. Iggy Pop, like it's Iggy Pop of all people. Dave Foley from Kids in the Hall.
Tracy Morgan, I'm pretty sure was in
Tracy
there.
Morgan is absolutely in here. It's an insane list of people that helped make this a very real thing. So an Adult Swim, I guess, has that touch, and there's nothing like a very evil satanic dog to, I guess, maybe pull in more people, right? To pull in more people. Who's going to see a satanic dog and not be like, I want to help,
I was drawn to this show. I was absolutely drawn to this show because it was so different from what I expected.
Right.
Like I went in blind. I went into this completely blind. Adult Swim, very familiar. Watched a few shows. Didn't really binge anything. Didn't live on. I guess it was the Cartoon Network.
Right.
Yeah. Like when I was watching the Cartoon Network, they still had like the Boomerang characters before there was a Boomerang channel. Okay, I was watching Dick Dastardly in the Wacky Races and Screwy Squirrel. Okay, that's just what I was doing. At some point or another, I stopped watching the Cartoon Network and just kind of fell off the face of the earth. But coming back to it, Mr. Pickles, Derek, James, I mentioned this is probably going to be one of those shows that I go back and binge on my normal rotation. Okay, I've subscribed to Netflix for since when it was only used to send DVDs in the mail.
Right.
Okay, and there was a secondary if you happen to have an Ethernet cable and you happen to have a Roku box. You can probably stream like 200 westerns and The Office on Netflix. It wasn't yet the streaming service when I first got it, but for the past probably 5 years, I've basically subscribed. I've paid $15, $16 a month to use Netflix to watch Arrested Development, The Office, The IT Crowd, and maybe the occasional horror flick. So Hulu, I had to get the free trial just to check out Mr. Pickles, and I'll be goddamned if I'm not going to be a lifetime subscriber because of this.
So
Mr. Pickles is on HBO on Max.
it is on Max. Yeah, it's on both. There's a lot of stuff that's sort of crossbred. Yeah, I watched it on Max. Even in spite of how I feel about their business and the child labor and all of that stuff, which I'm not. I'm not really on board with. With the way they treat their employees. What's that, D?
Listen, you just threw a baby in a dryer. What? Don't give me shit
We
about
took good care of that kid.
about child
We
labor.
took good care of that kid.
Okay.
That's why. Yeah, that's what it is. I toss them all in the dryer, and none of them come back to work. It's terrible. One fucking misstep in there in that dryer, and I don't listen to it no more. I don't put up with it no more.
No more.
I do know, but I'll see you guys all this weekend and next week live.
You're peacing out. You're peacing out already.
Yeah, I got to
do it.
Happening.
All right, very good. James, miss you, brother. We'll see you soon.
All right, see you soon. Ninja Turtles. I know I'm spoiling it, but next week.
Next week we are talking TMNT, the OG series. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Peace out.
But okay, so Billy, how far did you actually get into sort of the nuts and bolts of Mr. Pickles?
Bro, for a simple fact is when you binge a TV show, you don't know where the next fucking season starts. You have no clue. Well, I don't even know what day today is, let alone which season of Mr. Pickles I'm on. I might be on near the end of season 2.
Okay.
And yeah, so I think I'm far enough into it to speak coherently, but not quite far enough to be able to avoid the spoiler if it comes out.
Word. No. That's the other interesting thing about this is it's one of those things. And D, real quick before I get too deep, how far have you seen into the series? You've seen?
I
awesome. Okay.
I finished it a couple of times, and I've watched.
Nice. I have not watched through My Name is Sheriff yet, but Sheriff is hands down one of the greatest characters ever. Like the best characters in this whole stinking series. I love Sheriff. But okay, so we're all kind of coming from a couple of little spaces. Like Derek and much also like you, Billy, both at the same time. I've watched through this series a couple of times, but it blends because it's a show that I sit down to watch, but then I'll find myself getting up, taking care of stuff around the house. And it's not that it's dull, and it's not that it's boring and I want to go do other stuff. It's literally, for me, it is that comforting. And I know that's a weird thing to say about a show that literally suggests, well, I mean, there's a lot of heavy stuff in here. The dog is evil. Everybody's touching on assault at a certain point. There's a whole episode where everybody is assaulting everybody else. By the time you get to season 3, near the end of it, you find out that Steve, that was living, in the tunnels underneath Mr. Pickles' doghouse, is supposedly Grandpa's dead wife. She's alive, and she's been Steve the entire time. There's a whole 3-episode arc on it.
That is heavy.
Very heavy. But what does she do? Because everybody keeps trying to make Grandpa crazy. They try to make him look crazy. At one point, she turns around. She's like, I'll show you. And she yanks his pants down and then pulls him on top of her. So it looks like Grandpa is trying to assault her. This show goes so dark so many times and in so many ways.
There's absolutely no subject, no controversial, edgy subject they're not going to touch.
No.
I've already seen that. That's the bananas part about
and
it.
Dude, so like you can jump in. I think the very first episode that's on there isn't even the pilot. I want to say it literally just picks up with the first one that was picked up for series, which is where Tommy goes out to get a job, and he takes a shine to this little girl that lives up the street, who won't have anything to do with him if he doesn't have a job. And Tommy, so I love the characters. It's another thing that I desperately enjoy when I watch kind of anything is the care for which characters are given. I took a TV writing class, and this guy, Tom Bray, was a teacher, and he was like, here's how you develop a character. He's like, sit down with a card, you write their name on it, and he goes, you give their basic attributes, skin tone, age, gender, all of that stuff. And then he's like, then you start to figure out who they are. And the reference that he always gave was a mother on Grounded for Life, because she's this well put together lady. She, takes care of her kids. She's sassy, she's cute, mid-30s, all of this stuff. But when the doors are closed, she's a closet smoker. So there are episodes that center around like her sneaking a cig while everybody's out doing anything and then having to hide it. It's these weird little character traits that you have to write in, right? So with Tommy, the fact that he's got these fucking braces on and he's this half-assed Forrest Gump kid is, to me, I think it sells him in so many ways. Like, I love it.
He's so pure, Tommy's so pure, and that's the beauty of it. You think about, it's easy to see the big tough guy with the evil dog, right? We've seen that a million times. You got the big biker, he's got the Rottweiler, he's got the boxer, he's got the whatever. But no, we've got a border collie of all breeds to use here. We've got the border collie, right? Right. Or is it the Australian? Yeah,
it's either a border collie or a shepherd type. Yeah, it's one or the other. Yeah. It's a slightly
one of the super intelligent ones.
Yes. Yeah, it's like a mid-breed. Derek, what is it? You have 58,000 dogs. What kind is it?
I mean, it looks to me a lot like a...
Like a what?
Shepherd. That's what I would describe it.
There you go. We'll go with what Derek...
That's what I thought. Like an Aussie cattle dog, right? Same...
Yeah, like a cattle dog.
Yeah, and super, super intelligent dog, which makes it even more believable that this dog can manipulate other animals, because first of all, that's what they're for.
Right.
They are...
Well, I mean,
they're herders.
Manipulates his way into being
at one point, yes. And that's the thing. So to that very end, as far as Mr. Pickle goes, and his association with Tommy, you're right, Billy. You have a very bright dog. You have a kid. It's set up just like Lassie. The kid thinks the dog is good. The dog wants the kid to think he's good. The kid has no idea what is going on with this dog at all, right? Like not at all. In so many ways, he has no clue. So Grandpa seems to be the only one that realizes that Mr. Pickles is evil, okay? And that starts in the pilot. And if you don't see the pilot, you miss a lot, because basically Tommy and Mr. Pickles join the Scouts to find the great outdoors and the donkey bird, while Grandpa tries to prove that Mr. Pickles is responsible for a stripper's death. Okay?
Yes.
So
well said.
So this old man is already just out there fucking like the dog is bad. The dog killed the stripper. There's something wrong with this dog. And then it spirals out of control from there completely and totally. And Derek, if you've seen it, I'm going to go a little deep. I'm going to fast forward a lot. Season 1 is great. Season 2 is awesome. Wonderful episodes. We'll touch on a couple. But my favorite is really once it starts to really, really build to a head in season 3, they start to, I guess the overall arc of the story becomes much larger, right? Because it's in season 3 where we find out about Mr. Pickles' history. He's not the first of his breed. He is just the most recent of his breed. Okay? He is of a long line of series, and I'm just going to say it this way, of bad dogs. He's a bad dog.
Oh, I like it though. I like it, but you should be able to kind of infer that, right? Because if you're a devilish dog, as Mr. Pickles is, yeah, of course he's coming from a long line of evil dogs, right?
Has to.
I mean, it has to lead back to the great Satan himself at some point.
Well,
right?
Well, a witch who put a curse on a dog, and then that dog ultimately, I want to say, bangs out another dog, and then after the original bad boy, evil dog, is sort of burned at the stake, if I remember right. His witched, cursed sperm helps birth the next one. So each time one is killed, officially killed, whatever thing it is recently inseminated, then almost immediately gives birth. It's that sort of ongoing cycle. It's not just you, it's your offspring, your offspring's offspring, and so on down the road, right? It's crazy. They go into the full what is it? Grandpa eventually he's working with the witch to try and cast a spell to keep Mr. Pickles from getting anywhere near them. And what they discover is that the evil dog has to be within 666 yards in order for it to find and kill its target. So anything outside of that radius, it's like its sniffer don't work no more, and it can't really find you. It gets so deep in the 3rd season, which is why I really enjoy it. And I wish there were...
Do they ever extend the episode lengths? Because, I mean, these are hovering around the 11, 12-minute mark.
Nope. It's the same thing, dude. It's that same Adult Swim, like, time frame. This took the place of... Connor and I talked about it at the beginning of the month. Super Jail. Did you ever watch that?
Another good show.
It's a kaleidoscopic clusterfuck of what should be the world's worst prison that's basically run by Willy Wonka. It's amazing. But that show was canceled to make room for Mr. Pickles. Now, does this hit that same sort of note? In a lot of ways, but it's a lot more... pardon me. Whew. It's a lot more heavy metal. It's a lot more sort of in your face. Well, not in your face, but it's a little more subtle, even as much as in your face as it is. Super Jail is the one that's like fucking balls to the wall. Now, if you're...
Well, it feels like this show is balls to the wall though, because you're squeezing a 22-minute, 23-minute show into 11 minutes. And there's not a moment on this show where there's not a joke being employed.
Right.
There is no rest between the gags. And I love that about it because it is so bang, bang that the laughs are coming. And then I'm still processing the last joke when the next one comes through. You got to be a quick thinker to really process a show like this. But I think who it's geared toward is getting it.
Yeah.
It has to be.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's much like Super Jail. It's super smart, in a way that it almost shouldn't be as smart as it is. It seems like a very dumb sort of concept, dumb sort of idea. It's like Lassie, but if Lassie were the devil, you know, it's
Yeah.
It's as if whoever made Super Jail was on acid, and whoever made Mr. Pickles was on a crazy. I mean, that's how.
I mean, you can definitely see a level of influence there, D. That's for sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can kind of feel it in the jokes. The way Billy described it, it's kind of what I thought about, because it's like Super Jail is it's really trippy, and the jokes are really trippy, and the animation's really trippy. But this is kind of this big long setup for one big joke
Sure.
at the end, you know. And then Mr. Pickles has that big joke at the end, but it's just constantly just fucking right in your face, and just
And
everything's so.
and so
You know, I'm sorry. I have to say that I ran this by, so listen, man, I'm going to be going on Totally Toonular with some guys that I know, and we're going to be talking about Mr. Pickles. And they're like, "Oh, I saw Mr. Pickles." This show is just a big mishmash of crazy shit going on. Nothing's really happening. It's like basically a cartoon about nothing. The classic Seinfeld
Sure.
bit, right? It's a cartoon. I don't think that to be true.
no.
I think there is some calculation here, because they always seem to, in a Seinfeld kind of way, go back and hit on that main idea at the end. And if you get up and go wash the dishes, you could miss it.
And you do.
But it's there.
You do.
It is there.
I would say a good example of that is the setup of Mr. Pickles becoming the mayor, because that's when Grandpa goes to the mental asylum, and the only reason Mr. Pickles becomes the mayor is so that he could pardon.
Right.
But then there's all this other crazy shit happens in the
Now, the other thing, though, and there's another two-parter. Talked a little bit about it, but it bridges season 2 to season 3. So, Grandpa finds, and I'm reading the synopsis straight up, but we'll talk a little bit about it. Grandpa finds an ancient, mysterious coin that he thinks has something to do with Mr. Pickles, but the season ends with an unanswered cliffhanger when Grandpa finds the truth about Pickles' pet gimp, Steve. Now, what happens in this, and this is one of my favorite bits ever. I think it's hysterical. There is this weird sort of nymphomaniac lady that's running around that gets a kick out of banging old dudes and their old wives. She loves having three-ways with the elderly, right? But she likes to force them into it. She's coming on to Grandpa. "Oh, take me to meet your wife. Take me." "I'm not married. She's dead. She's dead." And the chick won't believe him. She doesn't believe him. So Grandpa's like, "I'll show you she's dead." And he takes her to the cemetery. And as he takes her to the cemetery, she's like, "Well, how do I know you're not just showing me some old lady? This could be anybody." So he pulls out his driver's license. The name matches the tombstone. And she's like, "Ooh, you know what turns me on more than elderly women? It's a guy and his dead wife. You can't get any older than dead." So
I love that.
She makes him dig up the coffin. And when he cracks open the coffin is when he finds the coin and that it was stuffed and that his wife's not in there. And he's like, "What the fuck?" Then you find out that Pickles' pet gimp the entire time has been his wife, Agnes, posing as Steve. At the end of your second season, to still be able to give that reveal, to not waste that during your first season, to not reference that even in like your third or fourth episode. See, this is where I'm a hack. You can't wait that long to do that. You give that to people right away. These guys let that shit marinate.
Yeah, you don't know when you're getting canceled.
You have no clue, right? So that's like long-term thinking. That's long-term thinking on the parts of the writers, which I think is genius. Now we pick up, and this is awesome because now that she's been exposed and that she's out in the public, Mr. Pickles is fearing that Agnes is ultimately going to give him away, right? She's going to give up the ghost, but she's out here living this life. Everybody's trying to make Grandpa look as crazy as possible. But because Agnes / Steve lives in such fear of Mr. Pickles, she feigns amnesia. Okay?
Of course.
As you do.
Like you did.
And she ends up going to the family wants her to regain her memories because there's a whole thing where the mother, Mrs. Goodman, at the beginning of it, she's like, she's upstairs and like her mother's back now and all of this stuff, but she's got these mommy issues. And she and Tommy are upstairs and they're going through the attic. And I'm sure you guys have similar memories. Correct me if I'm wrong. But, you go through your parents' old stuff and you're like, what's this from? What's that from? And they tell you their sweet little stories, right? All of that. You guys, very similar, right? Both of you country kids.
Yeah. I mean, I may have found some shit I didn't like.
Oh, Billy.
It's true. It's true. It is totally true. Yeah.
That's
that is that is a different podcast that never gets aired.
my man. That is an entirely different show. That is called Billy Needs Therapy for Life. So, but anyway, so Tommy's up there with her. They're going through stuff, and they find her old clown outfit. They find her old fencing. What do you call that? The it's got a very specific name, type of sword, the fencing thing. Anyway, they find all of this history from Mrs. Goodman's past, just to find out that Agnes stopped her from pursuing any of these dreams. So, as Mrs. Goodman is sort of coming to terms now with her mother being back, she wants her to remember what a terrible mom she was so she can bitch at her about it and make her feel shitty for it. So they want the mom to get the memories back. They take her to a memory place that collects people's memories. You can either get your memories dumped back in, or they can see if they can recover them. And once they recover your memories, if there's anything in there that you don't like or you don't want, they will keep that memory. And to keep it, if I remember correctly, to keep it from going online, you have to pay them an additional $50,000. So they'll help you recover your memories. And if you find creepy, weird memories, you pay them extra to keep that out of the public. Pickles freaks out because, and Pickles and Agnes, because now she's going to expose that she was Steve this whole time, and that Mr. Pickles is really an evil dog, and that Grandpa's not insane, all of this shit. So in an attempt to stop it, to stop the upload, they inject Tommy with everybody in the town's memories. The uplink fails, and then all of a sudden, all the other memory places in the U.S. are pumping memories into Tommy now, too. So Tommy now has all the repressed memories of everybody inside of him. His head swells to look like the head from MTV's Liquid Television. It's giant, it's bulbous, it's pulsating. Very, very weird Cronenbergian sort of horror thing. It was awesome. It's an amazing arc, and ultimately it ends very happy. Low-key, Tommy's getting everybody else's memories sucked out of him. And Mr. Pickles continues to go unfound. Genius. It's genius.
Glad you drew that parallel to Cronenberg, though. That was that was a nice dig.
Well, no, but that's the thing with this show is the way it's set up is as what's the word I'm looking for? As sort of goofy as an animated show can be, as much of a cartoon as it really is. Go for it.
I'm gonna have to go. I love you guys, and I'll see you Saturday.
I'll see you before Saturday.
Thank you. Thank you.
Are you coming? Are you coming out Friday night? I'm in town tomorrow, bro. Yeah, I'm in.
Oh,
I'm in Bayonne.
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, maybe I'll go. I'll do something.
I'll do something. All right. Anyway, I will find you this weekend, Derek. Be well. Take care of yourself. Love you.
I love you, man. Bye, Billy. Love you too.
Love you, brother. Have a good one.
And so was Derek.
Fucking Derek.
But that's also why I kind of wanted you on here, is sort of like the horror kid. You know what I'm saying? Like, because there are actual elements of real horror to this show that are sort of draped in the weirdness and goofiness that you expect from a cartoon.
There is horror all through this series, especially what I've seen thus far. There's an entire episode that's basically an homage to Friday the 13th and those campy, summer camp type horrors. That is, 1,000% true. And that's actually where I was kind of endeared to the show specifically. It actually won me over with a couple of episodes. There was the baseball episode and the Cheeseman episode.
Nice.
Yeah, specifically because it felt like it was a play on Friday the 13th. And I'm so biased to Friday the 13th. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, that's, that goes without saying. But the fact that these shows are so digestible, fast-paced comedy, it's a bite-sized thing that you can chew it up, swallow it down, and you don't really... It's so much in such a short time that I hate referring to Seinfeld so many times on a show that's not even related to Seinfeld, but that's what they do. There's so many gags in one episode that when you mention a gag, you'll remember the gag, but you won't remember specifically what else happened on that episode. And I feel like that's how I'm going to be. I'm going to have to binge this thing 5, 6, 7, 8 times to be able to remember everything.
So, 100%. Out of those, so Cheeseman stands out to you.
It does.
Cheeseman
so far
great. One of the ones that really sort of stands out to me, and like season 1, great. One you want to keep watching. Season 2 though has a couple of my favorites. There's one. There's one called Serial Killers. Long and short of it,
I'm listening.
Easiest setup ever. It's S2E3, a bus full of serial killers, a prison bus full of serial killers, gets basically taken over, and they get into a car accident, and all the serial killers get loose, and start running through town. And it's up to sort of the sheriff and Mr. Pickles to stop them. There's a cannibal one. He's actually the big bad of the episode. Makes wonderful puns all about eating people. They think that he is a gum thief. Sheriff gets word that there is a gum thief out there. And that, pardon me, it's terrible. I'm tired.
That was a good one, though.
Oof.
It was a good yawn.
So, sheriff fucking is trying to catch this gum thief, and they think it's cannibal. Cannibal ends up like blaming or sort of like penning crimes on other people, and then sheriff actually does pin the cannibal as the gum thief and somebody else as the serial killer, and it's this big fuck 'em up of whodunits. Absolutely great episode. As they're going through all the serial killer names at the beginning, I think it's Rape and Run Rodney. It was the guy's name.
God damn, I love that.
But it's this big R alliteration, and as he's naming off all the serial killers that are on the bus before the accident. And that's his favorite one. He's like, "Oh, you're such a good guy," and I guess he was good in prison. He's a nice guy in jail.
Rape and Run Rodney. Yeah, he's a gem.
Yeah, well, that's what he said. That's basically what the jailer said as the bus crashed, and he is the first one that the cannibal dispatches, like as the bus is crashing. What leads to the crash? Actually, what leads to the crash is Mr. Pickles theme song. It's
Of course.
and it goes so much deeper. Like at a certain point, and no big spoilers, but it does come to a head. Everything comes to this massive conclusion where the series leaves off. However, it also leaves room for growth. So in the scenario I was explaining about all the other bad dogs, this show truly ends, with Mr. Pickles dying, but then a show dog that he'd been hunting gives birth to the next iteration of Mr. Pickles, which always leaves, quote unquote, hope for the viewer. So it's like any good horror franchise. I would equate it to at the end of Jason Goes to Hell, when Freddy's glove comes up and pulls the mask down with it. It's that level of a moment when you see
You're talking my language.
when
now.
you see the dog
You're
born.
speaking my language.
You know what I mean? Like that's that glove pull on that mask. You sat for how many years before Freddy versus Jason? Almost a decade, if not a full decade, right?
Yeah, there was a very long time, almost to the point where it felt like, this doesn't have anything to do with that film. They just decided to go ahead and collaborate. It was that long of a wait that people just kind of forgot. But you talked about the procreation of Mr. Pickles, and that reminds me of another great film that I think is really unsung in Man's Best Friend.
Ooh, that's a good
Man's Best Friend. Yeah. I think it should feel like a good pull because it was like a mid-90s kind of film where there was just a lot of mediocre horror out there. But Man's Best Friend was one of those that I think single-handedly upped Rottweiler breeding, because I didn't know anybody with Rottweilers before Man's Best Friend. And then after that, I knew a ton of people with them. And at the end of that film, after they've dispatched of the evil doggy, this one, I think it was like maybe a collie. It could have been another collie or some kind of super intelligent dog. Had a litter of puppies that were also, were obviously from the evil dog, or I shouldn't say evil dog. It was just a genetically engineered dog.
Yeah.
That had no fault in anything, but to do what it was bred to do. But there they are. You're holding out now for the future of more sequels that we never got any of.
So did this and as a guy who watches a lot of horror movies, okay, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Let's see. So we got Man's Best Friend. Best. Everybody knows Cujo, right? Everybody's gonna know Cujo. Were there any other good movies, good horror movies about bad dogs?
Oh, okay. Good movies about bad dogs.
I mean, hell, they don't even have to be
that
good either.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, like, listen, a bad horror film is better than a bad film of any other genre, right?
Truth, yes.
Yeah. Other than like maybe the wolf type, you're out in the wilderness type, like The Edge, and which wasn't really even a horror film, it was more of an action. There was The Gray, where the wolves just kind of lurked around, and then there's that scene at the end where they don't really do anything. You just see Liam Neeson tape up his knuckles and go after him, and you just assume he's been mauled to death.
Yep.
But other than that, just to have a regular dog. I mean, I'm thinking Pet Cemetery, with the cat.
Sure.
Man, I'm having trouble bringing up like bad dog movies unless they were just some super like C-D movie type,
I mean, and I love to do quick Google searches because it's never to put somebody on the spot, but it's always to find out, like, does it exist? There is one here that I know you've seen the box for. It's from 1984. It's called Monster Dog. If you just Google that real quick, I know you've seen that box. We grew up in the same town. True Value, Wilkerson's, Eagle Video all had this movie in their horror section.
Monster Dog had like the Chevelle, or it was like some kind of classic muscle car on the front.
Yup. And then the dogs in the upper sort of right, and then you got the hot lady and the kid.
Kind of like the Howling or something.
Very similar. Very, very similar. Yes. Most of these that are kind of popping up look to be like werewolfy sort of things, and that's not what we're really looking for. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, there was one called Devil Dog, and it was like from the man. Okay, listen. If I'm 41 and I watched this thing when it was kind of old, it had to be like early 70s.
Yeah,
had to be. So that Devil Dog comes to mind. I don't have a lot of memory of watching it though. And then of course we just named, Cujo and Man's Best Friend. Man, what I want to see more of is like more zombie dogs.
Ooh.
Like the Resident Evil type dogs. We didn't get enough of them. We got some in the sequel, whatever part 2 was called of Resident Evil.
Right.
But we didn't get enough of those. I think those need to be the culprits in the next big horror film.
See, and
what I think.
I love the idea of like the rabid dog dogs in cinema. Okay, what's his name? Chopper, right? And is it Chopper? Sick Nuts in Stand By Me?
It could be.
Is it Chopper? It's got to be Chopper. Because they tell him to go sick nuts, when the kids jump into the junkyard and all that stuff. And he's like, Chopper's sick nuts. And that's the one thing that they didn't want to hear. So usually you'll have like the dog in a bad situation. He's always a bad boy. And but it's usually one, and it's not anything that it's really sort of built around. And I think the reason why they're so rare, because if you look at it, I just looked up horror movies about dogs. They're rare. The reason why I think they're rare is because it's hard to control that many animals, or even one or two animals, to make them really the crux of your movie, to make them the antagonist of your film. It's difficult,
It is, and one comes to mind. Who was the guy that played Maverick back in the day? Not the pilot Maverick, the card guy, the card shark.
Oh, James. Fuck, you could have asked me any other day of the week.
Not James Brolin, but the other James.
Yeah, not James Caan. Who was man?
R.I.P.
Yeah, right. Oh, dude, because he had a cameo in the Mel Gibson movie.
The Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
Yeah. Garner. James Garner.
There you go.
Okay. James Garner was in an evil dog movie. Not really evil, just a bad dog movie. It's like one of those lengthy titles, though, and I can't remember exactly. Something like They Only Kill Their Owner. They Kill Their Owner.
They only kill their masters.
Son of a bitch. There you go.
There it is.
There you go. They only kill their masters. And James Garner isn't necessarily a guy that I want to, check out in a horror flick. But honestly, what's his name? The guy that played Chester on Gunsmoke.
Yep.
He was in a film called Duel. Okay, and it's one of my all-time favorite horror flicks about the runaway, tractor trailer. So yeah, I can give you a one-off, and I will gladly give you James Garner. And is it James Garner or is it James Brolin?
No, bro, you got it right. James Garner all day.
Good. Okay. Yeah, because James Brolin is in the car.
Yes.
Now we're cooking with hot grease now. Yeah. So James Garner was in this one. They only kill their. Oh, did you say masters?
They only kill their masters.
They only kill their masters.
Yep.
Okay. That's one of those fucking Italian giallo names.
It is. It's a weird
Dark of Night.
But
Blood Red. What the long ass titles,
But this is 72, so I feel like that's also very much a thing for the time. You know what I mean?
Was it that long ago?
1972. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Damn.
In the production notes, what it says here, so a similar character named Sam McNeil, Andy Griffith in Winter Kill, intended as a pilot for a series set in California. This thing is loosely attached to fucking Andy Griffith of all people. It's ridiculous.
Listen, man, if we were to play 6 Degrees of Separation 99,000 times out of 100,000, never is Andy Griffith's name going to come up in any horror flick. But that's just the way we do it, you know? Andy Griffith.
See, that's
fucking
there.
Southern legend, Andy Griffith.
How do you like? Really, that's the funniest thing I think I've seen all day as I go through. Like, and this is where I should never research on the show, but we do everything on our show. That's how we do things. Is while people are listening.
I'm with it.
But to bring it all back around,
it is real time.
To bring it all back around, though, to bring it all back around is sort of Mr. Pickles in and of its own self, right? Like, sure. you have a show, a topic that Rin Tin Tin, Lassie, all the goodest boys. Today it's Bluey, right? Like all the goodest dogs. And then you get one bad seed out of the bunch, and it's a masterpiece of uncomfortability. Like I really.
Well, the beauty of having dogs in cinema is like they are specifically there to pull the heartstrings.
Yeah.
And there's literally a website called doesthedogdie.com, right? and listen, you know, before Slasher Sports Cinema, I had a little podcast called Slashers and Screamers, and I did this podcast with 3 very good friends, my very best friend in the world, and 2 good friends that I worked with at the time. And I remember specifically watching the film Funny Games, the remake.
Okay.
With Naomi Watts and Tim Roth. And I love the film. But there's a scene where the dog is shown. They open the back hatch of an SUV.
Yep.
The dog just kind of slithers out because he's dead. And half of the cast of Slashers and Screamers, they were saying, man, I was fine until this happened.
Yep.
Well, let's fast forward maybe half an hour, 45 minutes. There's a literal fucking 8-year-old blown away with a double barrel rifle. Okay? You didn't give a fuck about this kid, but killing the dog was where you drew the line.
Is the problem. That's the problem. So, and this is, I love that you brought this up because Lloyd Kaufman, president of Troma Entertainment, creator of the Toxic Avenger, has said a number of times the most amount of hate mail for all the horrible things that are said, for all the horrible things on screen. The most hate mail they ever got was when the dog gets shot in the Toxic Avenger. Like, people will still watch it. And he's like, same thing you just said. He's like, fucking, 45 minutes before that happens, we run over a kid's head with a car. We smash it to a million little pieces. But you shoot a fucking dog, people hate you.
It is the weirdest dichotomy. It is.
Well, it's
the human race, man. And then.
But I get it.
I don't ever want the dog to die. I don't want the dog to die. But a lot of plots don't work if the dog is involved.
A lot of them don't work if the dog is involved, or B, like that to me is weirdly the most human thing. So, okay. First and foremost, if you got kids out there, awesome. Great. I hope you enjoy them. They're wonderful. Like, I enjoy seeing your kids and then you taking them. It's awesome. I'm very proud of you. However, what I will say is this, though. More so than a child, even though we're supposed to procreate, propagate our species, right? And continue bloodlines, move along, all of that fun stuff.
Absolutely.
You see a thing that can only give you love. Because ultimately, and I mean no disrespect when I say this, ultimately, in some way, everybody's kids lets them down at some point, and they're going to disappoint you. They're not going to finish college. They're going to cost you money. They're going to do.
They're gonna make Curse of the Were-Deer.
You know exactly where I'm headed. They're going to somehow fucking shit the bed, right? You got your dog, though. And your dog, we have been bred alongside dog for millennia. And there is a connection, I think, between the human species and canines that is bred into both of us. I think that relationship came up at a point in our evolution that as we have maintained it, like anymore, I respect it. If you've got allergies, if you've got whatever, if you're not really a dog, I'm not a dog person. As long as you're not like anti-dog, I'm think I'm pretty good with you. You know what I mean? Like as long as you're not like fucking dog. I don't know, man. If you're just not that guy, I'm pretty okay with you.
I don't know, man. I think you got to really go out of your way to not like dogs, to actively not like dogs, unless it's an allergy, and you just can't be around them.
Dude, one of our buddies, it came through this past weekend, allergic to cats, not the biggest dog fan. And he's like, look, it's not that I don't like dogs. I like dogs. They're fine. You know when I like them? And I said, when's that? He goes, when they're like doing what they're doing now. And I look over and they're doing shit. They're both just sleeping on the floor. Nothing is happening. He's like, these are the best dogs in the world. It's when I show up and they want me to play all the time. They want to jump on me and all that shit. You have big dogs. And I was like, they are big. He's got a good point. He's not wrong. But it's if you actively are just like, I hate dogs. I don't want them around. Like, I don't think I want you around. And I think that's why it's something inside of people that because of the way that we evolved, because of the way that they evolved, and because, we brought them into our homes, we brought them into our caves in the beginning. They slept at the front of it to protect us from it. They bark. Now, if my dogs hear a noise at night, they tell me. Why? Because I'm the one thing that can carry a baseball bat around my house. They can't.
Absolutely.
You see what I mean? Like it's a mutualistic thing. And I think that's also why when you see an evil dog, it hits that horror switch. It hits that thing in the back of your brain where you're like, oh fuck, this is bad. And then when you see a dog die, I think that's why it hits harder than even a kid, because you can look around and you're like, oh, the human species will continue. That's like one less. You're like, my kid can now do more. My kid can be president because that kid in this movie died. You know what I mean? Like there's more opportunity for your child to go forward. But if the dog dies, you're like, there goes my best friend.
My best friend who loved you unconditionally, even though the child probably did too, but the child probably stole $20 out of your purse.
Man, no. I'm sorry. I'm going to stop that. Your child loves you unconditionally. Bullshit. They love you as long as you keep feeding them. As long as you.
Okay. There are conditions. You're right. There are conditions.
I'm sorry.
There are. No, you're not wrong there. You're not wrong there at all. I guess there's a reciprocal condition. Like as long as you hold up your end of the deal, I'll hold up my end of the deal, and the love will be mutual. But yeah, but I guess as long as
baseball game, you motherfucker,
you're
out,
dead
Dad.
to me.
You're done. You remember?
Give me another dad.
You remember in
one who takes
grade,
me to ball games.
You remember in second grade when I wanted to go to Joey's house for his birthday, and you said we had to go see sick old grandma in the hospital? I never forgot that. That's why I never amounted to anything, Dad.
But okay, let's look at this though. Let's say you put a steak down on the ground, and then the dog, gets his teeth into it, and then you start snatching that thing away. Does that dog love you still,
Oh,
or does he want to take your hand off?
see, that's the thing, though, right?
That's dependent upon the breed, I'm sure.
Well, no, not even because you look at big dogs, little dogs, whatever. I guess the way I look at it is like God intended you to have that steak in that moment. You know, if you try to take it off my plate, I'm gonna bop your nose. You see what I'm saying, Billy? Like you try and take it off my
Yeah.
plate, I'm gonna bop your nose. Good dog, bad dog, whatever. Now, if it hits the floor and you go up to it and it's raw, and I know it's gonna make you sick, and I try to get it away from you, and you growl at me and you snarl, you know what? Eat the steak, learn the hard way. Eat the steak, learn the hard way. It's fine. That's okay. Good Lord wanted you to have that steak, you take it. But that's also
I'm with you.
as a guy who's been bit, so I get it. That's a lesson I learned.
True story. True story.
But anyway, all of that to say this. Mr. Pickles is it's an exceptional cartoon. It is worth a watch, a rewatch. It is
A binge.
yeah, a full blown binge. Do it a couple of times because you're gonna.
You can't help but binge it. They're 11, 12 minutes long. You're gonna watch 5 episodes before you know it.
Literally in an hour, you're going to go through 5, which in a normal situation, you're going through 2.5 of anything else, right?
Of anything.
Of anything else. And there are only 32 overall. So to literally get through it in its entirety takes about, 6 hours if you're doing 5 each. And that's not long. That's a Saturday afternoon, dude. That's like 2 Marvel movies back to back. Right?
Listen, and I would much rather watch this than a Marvel movie. I'm not a superhero guy. I am a super devil dog guy, though.
110%. 110%.
Man.
So
666%.
I kind of like that.
I'm on board.
I kind of like that.
Yeah, man. Listen, when you told me about this and I read up on the synopsis, I mean, I had to go on location, man. So I moved on my same street to 667, which is the neighbor of the beast.
Right.
And I decided, okay, we're going to go balls deep. We're going to watch this. And I've only been through half of it. So I am disappointing you today.
No, not in the slightest. So that's the other thing I love to tell people, like, because what we do here and where we're getting to is ultimately we have a little rating system. I'm supposed to have sound bites. Woof, those are deep in my phone. I don't know where they are right now. I'm not going to mess with it. But ultimately what we do is we like to sort of rate it. Either it's a thing that you would highly recommend, which Leo says something like, I really enjoy calming. And then, or, if it's sort of like a decent watch, it's got its ups, its downs, it's whatever, but you still recommend it. It goes, success. But if you don't like it, if you hate it, if it's not a thing you would ever watch, it would be equated to sort of Derek's original Where Deer Scream, which sort of sounds like Uni from the old school Dungeons and Dragons cartoon. It goes, it sounds like somebody hit a fucking buzzer. Anyway, on that, with that in mind,
madness.
If people don't finish the thing and they tell me I'm gonna keep watching, I mean that's a successful cartoon all day, right?
It is 1000% a successful cartoon. And that is what it's for, man. That is, like, cartoons are meant to be binged. All right. You sit down we used to sit down on Saturday mornings and we used to watch an anthology of different cartoons.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I mean, you had Garfield and Friends. Like, this is the Friends to Garfield. Okay. This is an 11-minute episode that's meant to probably fill in the last 12 minutes of an hour slot. And listen, it's one hell of a show. All right. I recommend it to everybody? No, because there's some people who are just a little bit too finicky about the symbolism type, situation.
Dude, anything from the occult to literally the full-blown assault that happens in the streets, all the talk about minors. There's an episode and I want to say it's early on, where they're hunting for pedophiles, and the guys go out there. And they go, well, when a hunter's hunting for deer, what does he use? He uses lady deer pee, and he spreads it everywhere, and that attracts all the man deer. And he goes, and if you're out here hunting pedophiles, well, you just got to take the little boy pee. And then they whip out a bag full of little boy urine, and they spread it all around the ground to attract the pedophiles so that they can hunt them down. Literally, first time you see it, you're like, what the fuck am I watching? I get that this isn't for everybody.
I uttered those words. Like I said, what the fuck is going on right now? Little boy pee. And then somebody comes along and contaminates it.
Yes.
And there's actually a shot where is it the sheriff who's like, it looks like he's peeing on a little boy, but then it turns out to be like a cutout, a cardboard cutout or something.
Yep.
Is that the same episode? Yeah.
Yes.
That right there was so cringy for the moment that I thought it was a little boy.
And they hit all those notes. So yeah, no, I would not recommend this to everybody at all. But would I recommend it to my peer group, to people that? Yeah, of course I am. Of course, all fucking day.
The key is to know your audience, and
yeah,
when you know your audience, the recommendations rarely miss.
Truly, that's a huge thing. And it's a personal problem in my life, and I've done it too many times to not accept fault on it. It's not a misread of a person. It's an overshare on my part. I assume too much that people are built like me. Yo, dude, you got to check this out. And they watch it, and they look at you, come back a week later, then you have problems. What? I watched that movie. I think you have problems. I like sweet stories about sweet things, right? Well, I thought it was a sweet story. I mean, everybody, the good guy lived, that kind of shit.
Yeah, it's like I said though during the Q&A after Where Dear, I said, man, is Randy and Becky the sweetest love story there ever was, or what? And if you go based off of that thought in your head, maybe the recommendation goes to the wrong person.
Exactly. I had I'll tell you this. I'm sure I probably have at some point. I messed up a while ago in how I was approaching and presenting the film. No, it's just it's a good, wholesome story about the need for transparency in our relationships. And I got into that hype in my head. And then when I watched it back through for the first time, when I really watched the last cut, I was like, oh, there's a lot of filthy stuff in here. Maybe I need to stop saying.
There are a couple of filthy things. Yeah, I mean, we love it? Absolutely. But yeah.
It got heavy.
I'm sure it did. And like we come from this super small town, right along the Bible Belt of US and A, and like I don't know, it's like we got a population of what, 2,200, and we probably got 10, 15 churches in town. Come on, it's if we're sharing with our peers from back home who we want to be proud of us, maybe there's going to be a couple of misses in there. So I carefully recommend Mr. Pickles to those who don't have the thin skin, to those who see comedy for what it is. And honestly, there are a lot of social issues being tackled in Mr. Pickles.
Yeah.
And like that does, I'm not gonna skirt away from that. There are a lot of social issues, and they're not done super seriously, but they are done very tongue in cheek. And I mean, you open your eyes during those 11 minutes of blazing fast comedy, you're gonna catch it. And you know what you're also going to do? You're going to laugh, and you're going to like it.
Period. You have no choice. You're going to like it.
Like it or die.
likeitordie.com. That's the other thing too, though. Like just sort of real quick to kind of back all that up. It is Mr. Pickles is not always evil to be evil. He sometimes does some good things. Sometimes he kills the right people, maybe for the wrong reason.
Sure.
But sometimes he kills the right people. So it's a little bit of back and forth. You still love him. You still love him. He's still a good boy, even though he is not a good boy.
He's not a good boy, but he's good to somebody.
He's good. Oh, there you go. Right. He's good to somebody. Yeah. Jesus, wow. With that, Billy, I think we're gonna start wrapping up. I don't really see anything in the email inbox this week, so we're gonna forego that. If anybody needs to get in touch with us, you can always get at us at totally.toonular@gmail.com. Tell our friends where they can find you.
Man, you can find me at Billy Graves SSC, and that is on the Twitter. What are we calling it now? X? Twitter? I think X is just a logo. Who fucking knows? Find me on IG and on Twitter at Billy Graves SSC. That stands for Slasher Sports Cinema. On Facebook at Slasher Cinema, and I'm on YouTube as well, Slasher Sports Cinema. Just put in Slasher Sports Cinema, you're gonna find me. And I do want to say something, Ben. This is
please.
Pretty heavy. Pretty heavy on my mind. A member of Slasher Sports has fallen gravely ill. Our beloved Steve Feck, who is our baseball guy at Slasher Sports, just a couple of weeks ago, he had a massive stroke, and things are not looking great for him. Right. There is a GoFundMe which you can find if you find me. I'm not going to push it out there, but definitely find me on the socials, and I'll direct you in the right place. But Steve is a big part of Slasher Sports, and I just wanted you to know that as I was looking on the Facebook feed on his page to just get some kind of update on how he's doing. The last three things he posted, there were maybe a couple of memes, maybe a couple of motivational quotes, but one of those last 3 or 4 things that he posted was he shared the Curse of the Weredeer sneak peek, and not because he was interested, but because I was interested. Steve is that kind of guy. He's here to, he was put here to put other people over, and he does so very ceremoniously, because anything that you're doing, he's going to hype it up and make people want to see it. And I just wanted you to know that. That is, I wanted to tell you that during the, the Q&A. It was just a heavy time, but Steve Feck, he's the fucking guy, and we're really pulling for him. If you come away with anything, man, know that there are people out there that are not from where we're from, that are just looking from afar, and they're happy about the things that you're doing. And yeah.
To Steve, we'll say this, and to you as well. Anybody listening, if you want to donate, if you want to help out, Steve, you helped us out. We're gonna do what we can there. And thank you. I can't say that enough. Guys, GoFundMe, get in touch with Billy here. We'll figure that out. If you get in touch with me, I'll get you in touch with Billy. We will figure out a way. Where there is a will, there is a way, right?
That is a fact. And where there's a will, there's ill will Bill, and that's me. All right. So I'm taking that moniker to a whole new level. My workmates have given me that name, and I'm going to wear it with pride. No ill will, but there might be. Listen, man, I'm happy you invited me.
Yes,
it's been a long time coming. I don't get to guest spot very often anymore, just such a busy schedule. But dude, if I've got to make time for Ben fucking Johnson, I'm going to make time for Ben Johnson. If it's the last thing I do. Absolutely.
So right before Papa John takes us out here, I do want to say next week we will be back. James will be with. We are talking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I am Ben. You can find me at yarn_Yeti. This weekend you will find me at Trauma Dance, doing the Trauma Dance in my trauma pants. And everybody out there, once again, thanks for listening. Totally.toonular@gmail.com, babies. Billy, it's been a pleasure, my man.
As it always is.
You guys, this is all Kyle's mom's fault. Shut up, Cartman. Kyle's mom is the one that started that damn club, and all because she's a big, fat, stupid bitch. Don't say it, Cartman. Wait. Don't do it, Cartman. Wait. I'm warning you. Okay.
Hello, peasants. Want to kill all humans?
Work there, dude. We'd like some money. Yes, money. Money is cool.
We got whores in the city. We need backup now. Don't be so dang literal.
Well, you've got one heck of